Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Tonya Hoffman's fabulous TV show with my fabulous guest star, the incredible Miss Jody Kruger. Yay!
Thank you, Tanya.
We have like the total, opposite, polar opposites, because Jody's just so lovely, and just every time you're around her, you just want to get a hug. And I'm like, I feel like I'm Kermit the Frog. I'm like, ah! So tell us a little bit about you, Jody, and about how fabulous you are, and kind of your journey and how you help people and all.
Well, that's a big question. So about a year ago, people started using the term Radiant One with me, and it stuck. The first time I heard it, I went, Radiant? Where?
Nice.
And now that's what comes out when people see me on the street. Hi, Radiant One, how are you doing? What's going on today? And it just stuck. So I decided to take my books. I author children's books and public speaking, and bring that to Radiant One and develop a company that helps families in particular who want more joy in their life and who want to celebrate life with radiant love, not just keep it for themselves, but to extend that to the world and show the world what peace and love really, really means. So
I love that.
That's Radiant.
It so much fits you so much better than the whole financial advisor thingy-majigger.
Which, by the way, I retired from last Thursday.
Yay! I'm so excited for you.
That's why I say semi-retired, because it's felt a little bit like what I might think retirement looks like, or graduation is the word I like to use.
Oh,
So
I like that
I've
even better.
Graduated to another phase of my life that's much, much more radiant, much more full of joy.
I think we all have our transformational points, and sometimes, it happens hard, it's like knocks you in the head. And then sometimes it's just gradually goes poof, poof.
This is awesome because the ducks just lined up. Mama duck had all these little baby ducks, and everybody just went where they were supposed to. And it wasn't really difficult at all. It was
right.
Easy. Other transformations in my life.
I know sometimes we feel like we have to be pushed, and other times we know where we're leaded to, right? So I know when there was like this moment, and this might have happened to you, when I was driving in the car. Maybe it's not in the car for you, but I was driving from San Angelo to Austin. And if anyone's ever driven those roads, have you ever driven from the middle of nowhere in West Texas? Yes. You see the tumbling weeds actually tumble. You're like, literally, look at that. And back then, this was about 2002, 2003, somewhere right around there. And of course, back then there was no like satellite radio or anything. So I was just driving along in complete silence. And all of a sudden, I kind of heard this like message in my head. I'm like, Tanya, you have to be more. Tanya, you can go out and change the world. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm little Tanya. How could Tanya change the world? And you fast forward to today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you really can.
Unrecognizable.
Right. Exactly, because you've seen the picture of me.
Yeah, I've borrowed that concept and that word for you for last year, and radiant actually came from that. Radiance, radiant. This year it's rejoice. Still unrecognizable from the beginning of the year, but
because I've seen you really transform in just a year's time since I've known you.
Yes, I don't recognize myself when I look in the mirror, and that's wonderful. I can look in the mirror and grasp what I see and really see myself. And that's where all this joy starts, is seeing yourself, being able to look in the mirror and see yourself.
people have a hard time looking at themselves.
Yes, they do.
This was a picture of me in 2005. I love this picture
I have
because
one of
it
those.
shows this transformation, even though I've got like a major pimple in the middle of my forehead. I keep like looking at it. I'm like, would you go away? But anyways, we get so sidetracked. I'm like, why is that pimple still there? So, we've got our own issues, right? But I remember the first time that I looked in a mirror, and looked in my eyes. I'm like, my eyes are really those colors? I always think just brown, right? And you look and you're like, all these specks of stuff going on.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell myself that I'm fabulous. I'm pretty good. I mean, I couldn't even say the words,
Now it's like,
Now you like own it. You're like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
that's every morning.
And
I tell my friends that they're like, why are you so happy in the morning? I'm not a morning person. Well, I am, because I get to get up every day, go look in that mirror, and I love what I see. I love what I see.
and you don't know what the day holds. That's exciting to me. Someone fabulous, that you're going to meet or talk to, or, even just connect. Here we have the fabulous Miss Colleen on, the line listening. She's all the way in Ohio. Here, both of us are in Austin, and you get this kind of connection factor that happens that you just never know. You never know what that experience is going to lead you for the day.
And I live seconds from Cup Austin, so I always find somebody. I can never go out the door in raggedy clothes or anything.
No. Don't do it.
If I do, they're like, you're casual today. I'm like, yeah.
I remember there was a lady that invited me, because I've networked in Austin for so long. A lady invited me to her 4th of July party. It was on the golf course. It was a beautiful house. She was going to have this little party. I'm like, great. So, I show up with my kids, and I've got blue jeans on, and I still look good, right? I've got a nice shirt. But they're like, wow, you're so, dressed down. And I'm like, I've got blue jeans on.
It's Austin.
I was like, all right, fine. It's just like, come on.
Throw a scarf on. You've got a Texas tuxedo version
Exactly. So what do you find when you meet somebody that kind of is keeping them from finding their joy?
Start with a smile. The easiest way to extend peace. Keep in mind, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Joy, peace, love, authenticity. We all have it in this beautiful little package that is us. It's all there. We don't need to go find it. It's right there. So the key is learning how to extend it, how to share. And that's why the mirror in the morning is so important, because if you can't smile at someone else, you can't smile at someone else properly until you can smile at yourself. So the smile, taking the smile and extending to yourself, and then extending it to a mate, extending it to a friend. Call someone on the phone and extend a smile through the phone. They can hear it. They don't have to see you. They can hear it. And then take it a step further, extend it to the world. That's what we're doing right here. Anybody in the world can come and see our beautiful smiles. It's as simple as that.
I find a lot of people, they're trying to be somebody else, and or they're not authentically in their selves. So they are marketing a certain thing and it's not congruent. I was just in Oakland at this event, and there was all these stage speakers. I was part of 5, and then there was the 2 main speakers. It was their event, and we all got 15 minutes. And people were like astounded that I flew from Austin to Oakland, because everyone else was pretty much local. And I thought it was very interesting because it was a heart-centered group, right? These are huggers. These are people that want to help each other. But these other 4 people literally drove in right before they were speaking, got up on stage, did their thing, gathered up any of the contacts that were interested, and left. And I was like, because I flew in the night before, I flew out the day after. So literally 5 days I spent for this event for 15 minutes on stage. And I was like, that I think is transactional,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were there for a transaction. So I just kind of was interested to see what kind of results that they got versus me, right? So now I'm into, strategy and, all those kind of things. And they all got about 10 people out of the whole audience that signed up to talk to them afterwards. I got up on stage. The entire audience, except for two, signed up to go and talk to me later. And the other two immediately just signed up with me. And I think it's because I was there building the relationships and really seeing that I was a part of their community versus just using their community.
Right. Authentic living.
And don't you think that that's probably one of the things that people don't realize in their marketing, their branding, is that they're not showing who they're saying that they're authentic. They're saying that they care and they want to build relationships, but they're not showing it.
Yeah, they're up here. They need to come in here.
Yeah.
And the first time someone did this to me, I was like, what? This is where my power is. Man, this is our humanity.
Yeah.
This is our divinity. This is our spirit. This is what we are. This is who we are. Yeah. And showing people who you are, anybody can do that. And anybody else can do that for you. But showing someone what you are and where you come from, your authenticity, the real you, the you that you talk to, that's what people want.
Yeah.
So in marketing, I'm marketing Radiant One. And it's easy to slip into that ego, to slip into the brain work of this is what works for other people. And I'm analytical, just like most of the world, right? Most of us are, most of the people I know are analytical because that's the world I come from. It's slowly shifting. That analytical brain wants to see the statistics, wants to see the numbers, wants to see how it's done, a process. And that's important. It can only work if it's authentic and it comes from the reality of who you are.
Yeah. I love that. Because I meet a lot of analytical people, because I just naturally drive those people to me. It's like opposites attract. My husband's analytical, my friends are analytical. And they have their brilliance, right? Because I really need their help to step one, Tanya. You are on step 27. Let's go back to step one. But then they need someone to show them the other side, right? A lot of times the creativity side, the marketing side. And a lot of people are so afraid, I think, they feel like they're not whole if they don't know how to do it all themselves. Do you find that?
Yeah. Especially an analytical type, an engineer type. We've been conditioned to do it all ourselves and not reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
The old Jody.
I still love the old Jody too.
I still have trouble receiving. So I actually made that my goal. Not only to help myself learn to receive graciously. And when people reach out and say, I want to help you with this, they want to help you. And if you say no, that's terrible. It's like having a gift that you're not going to wrap, or a gift that you're going to give back. They're giving you a gift. So receiving is important. And that's part of my message too, is, stand with your hands open.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind who you are. Stand with your hands open and receive those gifts. And when it comes to marketing your business, take the help. listen to it and then find out if it's something you listen to your inner voice, and it'll tell you what's right. We don't talk to ourselves enough.
Right.
We don't listen to ourselves either.
And we're so fabulous. I don't know why.
I think the more you do that, the more fabulous you realize.
Well, I think a lot of it is fear. We're fearful of how people actually see us, you know. The other day, I was at this big event I was speaking at, and one of the top speakers in the world, who has sold more than Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar from stage than anybody else, and people don't know him because he never wanted the celebrity status. And he's just such a heart-centered guy. He's going to be at my conference. His name's Scott Schilling, and he's just, he's just a doll. And so when I walked in, I saw him, hey, and we really starting to build this great relationship and friendship. And I was like, I'm going to go sit by him. And I'm going to see what he's saying about people. So I'd ask him, so what did you think of that, right? And he'd give me his feedback. I mean, this is invaluable. But there was a piece of me is like, I would love for him to critique me from stage, because at my level, not too many people want to give me feedback, right? And really constructive feedback, not just you suck, but but there's a piece of me going, do I really want to know, And so finally I just did it. I was like, hey, Scott. And he was so willing to help. He's like, totally, I would love to see. But then, you get all in your head. You're like, oh, I need to make sure my presentation. And I'm like, just let it go. Stop. And it was great. And he was blown away. He was like, there was one section he thought I would frame differently. And I just took that. I'm like, totally know what he means. And I'm so appreciative, because no one's ever told me I could reframe that one section and make it more powerful, right? But I'm still like, why do I have that icky feeling of, do I want to know?
Yeah.
Especially from people that we respect. We want them to see us in good light, that we're doing well. Especially when you get to a certain level, I think too, you're like, well, I don't want people to think that I don't know what I'm doing. So a lot of that is that inner critic that comes out.
Quieting the critic inside, yes. Oh, I use meditation for that.
Nice. You're like, excuse me, I need to meditate.
It's so much quicker than that. When you meditate on a regular basis, daily, and meditation is different for everybody. There's no wrong way. I do teach a class on it, and I'd love to anybody who wants to come. It's more of a leadership role of giving people the chance to meditate in the way they do. So if you do that on regular basis, the whole idea is to be able to quiet your mind and focus in on what's real. And the more you practice it, the quicker you can come to center.
Love it.
So people don't even know that you're in that place. You can maintain eye contact with your audience, go quiet for a mere second, and center yourself.
Love that.
Sounds.
You could teach a whole class on that. Why didn't you tell me about this? Because that's one of the problems that speakers have. I see a lot of times people lose track of what they're, they get sidetracked. They hear something and then they're like, where was I? Or they get off on a tangent and they're like, okay, where was I supposed to be going with that? And if they just take that moment, I think they could recenter themselves and start on, right? You can see people that just need that training.
Right.
There's you that we've got to get talking.
So for people in the Austin area, every second and fourth Saturday at 10:30, I have a class, and they can find that at Radiant One on Facebook, or give me a call, 816-588-9400.
Nice. And I know you're the executive director for the North Austin chapter of the Public Speakers Association, because that's how fabulous you are.
I'm really enjoying that role. I enjoyed Candy in that role and learned from her and from Elizabeth and from you and all the fabulous directors. And now I'm having fun building something it's a little
Yeah.
bit new. So I like that.
It was all
I like
about
that.
putting us into opportunities that not only can show us as leaders, because as we know, no one follow people don't follow followers, they follow leaders. So you have to step out. You've got to be up there. You know, Colleen that's on, she's running the Cincinnati chapter of PSA.
Okay.
And, you know, it's about stepping and doing something new. It's like doing Blabathon or something, you know. When I promoted it, it was, I don't know if it's going to work, you know.
Let's see if it
But
works.
even if it's like a
And it
total
did.
dud, which I can't imagine that it would be a total dud, that you just have no idea what's going to happen from that. But whatever it does, it shows that I'm a leader, that I'm the forefront person. It's I'm doing something that other people need to know about.
Mm-hmm. Changing the world.
Exactly.
That's that's our charge, is to heal the planet, heal the world. Um, and healing comes from sharing, extending joy, extending love, extending peace, and sharing our experiences so that others can realize that they're not
Mm-hmm.
alone. I think every time I, I don't have a story that's traumatic, maybe emotionally traumatic, but not physically traumatic. But it's amazing the people that I know that I've shared my story with that have gone through physical trauma connect on an emotional level. Doesn't matter what what the trauma was and where it came from, we're
Mm-hmm.
connected there. And a lot of times that's where we start, is what's your
Yeah.
story? um, Sharing a simple story, sharing a moment together to get the ball rolling. And
For too
that
many people, they discount their life. You know, I have a
yeah,
friend that
yeah.
she went to a conference and it was all, you know, horrific story. And, you know, and I got up on stage and she goes, I have no idea that that had happened to you because there's been all kinds of things, you know. And she goes, and here I am
Mm-hmm.
whining about, you know, losing my job and, you know, having this horrible experience to her. I said, don't discount your experience as being something fluffy and
Right.
that you shouldn't take seriously. To you, it was traumatic. You got fired. You didn't know what to do. It left an impression on you. So don't think just because you haven't gone through my experience that it somehow devalues your experience.
Right. My experience is not meant for
Exactly.
you, and yours not for me. We learn the same lessons and get the same guidance from our stories. It's not a
Yeah,
hierarchical thing. It's who you are.
exactly.
And giving ourselves permission to, I'm going to go a step further, forgiving ourselves for past attitudes that didn't serve us. They served us, they served a purpose. They don't serve us
Right.
anymore. So remembering them and the lesson learned is important, but forgive yourself for that does not serve you anymore today, and move
Exactly.
on. It, I make it sound
Yeah.
easy.
You know, there's so many things
It's not.
that you know, you look back on it and it just makes you who you are today. You know, even, you know, when I was robbed and tied up when I was 6 months pregnant. And my husband went
Mm,
because he was also, it was my little sister who was 14. And then I was 6 months pregnant. And my husband was there. And of course, he felt like he was, because he was out of control. He couldn't help at all. You know, because this guy had his gun on my belly the whole time. What could he do, right? So he went
mm.
into a gun buying frenzy. Come to find out, Tanya's a pretty good shot. You know,
Women
and
are.
I was like, you know, the guys didn't really appreciate it, the you know, firing range. But there's sometimes that happens that you're like, I would have never known that about myself. and,
Yeah.
and it was kind of this exploration of who Tanya is, because I would have never thought of Tanya as the, you know, and I had a big old gun too, you know, it's like, you know, yeah, I got a gun, you know, I know how to shoot it, you know. It was just like the weirdest thing for me, even just to look back at it. I don't have the guns anymore and stuff, but it's just hilarious to think about.
What led you to that
Yeah.
point, and where you are now and how it serves
Yeah.
today. It's those reels that we play. It's interesting to look at those, as long as we don't get
Well,
caught up
and
in it.
I was a total introvert because of all the horrific things that had happened to me, and the whole, I had cancer,
Wow.
and those were the nice things that had happened in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Wow.
get why I was an introvert. I get why I was so protective of myself because I had those traumas. But then at some point I got tired of it, right? I got tired of, that being a victim and
Victim
not
mentality. Yeah.
exploring this brilliant world that we are in, right? And not exploring how amazing people really are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sad part of
Yeah.
it.
And it's a choice we make. That's, I have people that call me, how can you help me? How This is my issue. I'm like, well, you made the choice to make the call,
Yeah.
to ask for help. Um, it might be something as simple as, uh, I'm going to share a story about a good friend of mine. It's an example of how I can help a family. And they have a young son who grandma's tried, mom's tried, dad's tried to get him to sit still and meditate. It's an important part of their culture. He doesn't sit still, and he's not been diagnosed as ADHD, but the parents are they're putting those thoughts out in the universe that there's something not quite right, with his ability to sit still. And I thought about it for about a second. I'm like, he's not meant to meditate in a still position. That he's a young kid. He doesn't have sitting still is something he does at night when he sleeps. Otherwise, he'd go, go, go,
Yeah.
go, go, go. So we worked as a family in a situation where we were in active meditation. I used a labyrinth. A labyrinth is kind of like a maze. We have one here in Austin at Unity Church of the Hills that's built last summer. It's beautiful. And we just met there. I told him a little bit about the structure and why it's here, and asked him to follow the path at any speed he wants, which he ran, of course. And when he gets to the middle, I wanted him to call me. He's like, just, holler at me and I'll come and join you because I have a question for you. He says, is this a math question? I'm like, it might be. So you get to the center, there's huge oak tree in the middle, and he grabs the oak tree and he says, what's my question? And I gave him a math question that had to do with the number on the tree. It's a tag tree, and the number of pavers up to the entrance is the same, and it's number 42, and there's some power behind that number. So I shared that with him, and then I asked him how he felt, and he says, I'm tired and happy.
Nice.
And I could see his mother's eyes well up, because that's what they're looking for, is his ability to connect with the inside of him, his spirituality. It was simple as letting the kid run to safety,
Yeah.
maybe run to a space where he could be authentic,
Yeah.
and not worry about other people. And it was just,
That's awesome.
it felt so good to be part of that. So that's an example of how I might work with
I know so many people they want everyone to fit into a box. And I think it really does a disservice to almost everybody, when we're trying to put everybody and make them the same instead of really looking at their uniqueness, and help them, his family probably wouldn't have even thought of, doing that if they didn't hire you to help them. I know there's a lady, people always ask me, they're like, oh, Tanya, who is like your favorite speaker ever? And they're expecting me to say Tony Robbins or Oprah or, and I always tell them the same thing. It was this woman who was on the virtual summit, and she had called me like 16 times trying to back out of it. I'm not ready, Tanya, I'm not ready. And it was her very first presentation ever, ever, ever. Right. And she was just like flipping out. And I was like, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. And so on the day of the call, I was on the phone, and I was hoping to see her, and she showed up because I didn't know if she really was going to show up or not. And I introduced her. You know how I introduce. I'm like, ah, and she starts, and she gets 2 sentences out, and I could tell she has a powerful message, and she starts to hyperventilate, and she's like, oh, oh, hold on, and you see her, she's grabbing something to drink. She's like, and she puts it down. And she's like, okay. And she goes again. And she gets a couple more sentences out. And she starts hyperventilating again. And she's like, oh, hold on. And she goes for 25 minutes. And what was amazing to me is there were about 20 people on the call that day. Usually something like that, people just drop off, So I'm not sure why they stayed. Maybe there was just this pull to stay, or maybe they were just waiting for the train wreck, right? I don't know. But they stayed. And at the end, she stopped. She thanked everybody. I stopped the recording. I unmuted myself, and I'm like, you did it. And she let out the biggest scream I've ever heard anybody. And she's like, I finished. I did it. She was so excited. I'm getting chills just thinking about it again. Every time I talk about this, I get chills. And then all of a sudden, the magic happened, because most people never say anything or raise their hand to give a comment or ask a question. And suddenly the board just lit up, all these hands. And I'm like, okay, the person in Ohio, the person in New Jersey, and they were like, yes, great job. And out of the 20 people, she had about, I think it was like 18 people actually reach out to her, and she ended up closing like 4 people on her business. And this is the point. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to do, and you got to show your heart, and you got to be willing to be imperfect and do it anyways, right? Oh, right. So nice.
Right. I have a quote I like to use, and when you were describing this hyperventilation, it came to mind, and I don't even know where it comes from. I'm guessing it probably came from a book or a class. Thinking, I'm not sure, but it talks about fear becomes love with the courage to take a breath.
Nice.
The key word being courage, and it starts with the breath. You forget to breathe. So if you can't smile in the morning, take a breath. See where that leads you.
Exactly. I see here a puppy.
The roommate's dog should have probably gone in the other room.
My puppy will sit here. If I don't put her outside of the room while I'm doing these, she puts her head on my leg. She's like, pet me. You're up and you're talking to people. Pet me. And I'm like, oh, you're very annoying. Come on. I'm trying to focus here.
I actually fed the cat, because usually he comes coming, through. You see the head and then the tail.
I know. The cats are hilarious, because they always want to be like right on top of your keyboard or something. You're like, all of a sudden you got all these A's. You're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Oh my gosh.
It's warm there.
And just the different personalities. I love not only just seeing the different personalities in the animals, but in people. It's just a hoot, to get on a call or meet people in person and have that kind of connection point to who they are, not trying to make them you, which was always my trouble. Not that I was trying to make them Tanya, but I wanted to make them think like me, right?
Yeah. I've been accused of that.
It's like, why don't you get it? I remember my first coaching client back in 2006, and oh my gosh, she was like, Tanya, can you help me? I want to be the second best realtor in the Blockhouse Creek subdivision. I'm like, the second best in a whole subdivision? What? Not even in the little city. It was like just this area. I was like, okay, I can help you with that, but why don't we go bigger? And she's like, why would I do that? And I had to really realize that she's not me. This was her goal.
Yeah. And that's an interesting topic, because we dream, and our dreams become reality. Nobody can
I
tell me
hope my
anything
dream
different.
last night doesn't come
Could be
to
over.
reality, because I was pregnant in my dream last night and had another baby. I don't need that.
I'm not sure what that might manifest
I
as.
don't know. Her name was going to be Christina. It was way too literal. I don't know where it came. My kitten, I think, my cat is pregnant. I think she's pregnant. And so it's probably came from
Oh,
that,
maybe.
so I may have to name one of the kittens Christina. I don't know.
I believe that would be a good solution to that.
Exactly. So when you look at kind of the joy that people bring to others, and first it starts with yourself, is there a big like movement? Was there something that helped you transition yourself, or it's something that you always see in other people, that not only the smiling, right? Because I think that's a huge part of it. But something else that can help them find the joy, especially if because there's a lot of people that are doing things that they're not happy about, and it's hard to smile.
Yes. Uh, we just talked about dreaming. That's part of it is a good place. This is a tip for anyone on this call. Anybody that hears this can use this in the morning, or if they want to take a nap, they can use it sooner. When you keep a journal next to your bed, or wherever you're resting, and we all dream. We may not remember our dreams, but if you keep that journal and you go to sleep with the intention of journaling your first thoughts, it's a very effective way of tapping into where we go when we dream. So that's one way to dream. Another way to dream is, we call it daydreaming. We think, oh, my cat's having kittens. I can't wait. I want to name the cute little orange one Christina. We have those daydreams, and listen to those and pay attention, because you can manifest those. You can put those into action. Tell people, talk to yourself about it, get specific about it. So that's one way you can find joy. Okay, so we don't dream about things typically that we don't want. When we do dream about things that we don't want, there's a clog in the pipe. Chakras aren't lined, something wrong. We as speakers, our throat chakra gets in the way. So you need to clear, and that's one of the things I help people with, is helping them clear those blocks. So there's that dreaming, and then another thought came to me when you were talking about joy and extending. I lost my train of thought. I got caught up in the dreaming. So exciting. But that is something that we can do right away, is journal that. I know it sounds silly, but try it. Try it and see what comes out on paper. It's just writing down your thoughts. It doesn't have to be meaningful to anybody.
Yeah, and I don't have it around me. I have a journal that I'm just always, because I come up with so many ideas, and I just write them down, because some of them are great ideas, but there's the logistics of it would be like, and then there's some that you play out the whole scenario, and you just see that there's just a block there. There's just something that it won't go into fruition, right? There's something that's missing still, but until you kind of process it and go through a lot of it, you won't know. But I still put it down, and I still get it out of me, so that it's out there. It's out in the universe. It's out on paper. It's out of my head. And then that I can receive that inspiration, because I know I've been working on 2 possible scenarios, and I was really torn about which one to go with. And today it was so crystal clear about which ones I was gravitating to, because one of them was just like, it made all sense, except for it didn't felt like it made sense. And the other one just felt like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. I know how I would do that. And then suddenly I'm like, well, why am I trying to do this when this is naturally going that direction, right? It's flowing.
Yeah. And I did remember the other thing to tie into that. And this, when you have that conflict or an issue, Mother Nature is amazing. Just communing with nature. Days like today when it's raining and cold and it's not as easy to commune with nature, but even just planting your feet on the ground for a bit and really absorbing what you see, what you hear, what you smell. Don't take your phone. 15 minutes, leave your phone at home. You don't need it. Nobody's going to mug you in your own neighborhood. If they are, move. That's a good thing to manifest
Right.
out of. But just really listen to everything that you hear, particularly what you are saying to
And
yourself.
I always thought it was interesting because some negative things that would happen led me to some brilliant moments. When I was at that moment in 2003 or so, and I was being called to change the world, to be more than what I was, more than who I was at the time. And I couldn't see the clear vision. I couldn't see the path. And so I was real resistant. And I even went home. I was like, honey, we're going to change the world. He's like, how are we going to do that? I'm like, I don't know. And then literally we were like, oh, we start this business. We could do, help people with this. And we kind of put it together, but we didn't act on it. And then a week later, my husband was laid off. A week after that, I was actually, the United States government came in and closed the company I was working for. I was a wholesale sales rep at the time, and they're like, cut, done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Oh yeah, we have this whole plan. I guess we better go do it. And here I am today.
You can take action. You didn't take action, but the universe did.
It was very clever that way.
And that's why listening and being aware, you can get there quicker sometimes, and that's the beauty of becoming still. And that's where this all comes from, is the ability to still your mind from all the conflict, all the issues. Just let it go away for a moment. Come back to center yourself, focus yourself, and then listen. And the answers come.
I love that.
The answers come. I guarantee that's something I can
Yeah,
guarantee.
and sometimes, here I was having to be pushed when I should have just jumped, right? And who knows how much faster if I was just in the moment in my head going, yes, let's just move and let's just see where this heart takes me. I always wondered, you always look back, you're like, I wonder if this scenario would have been different if,
To be ready for it, because when the success, the abundance happens, we're not always ready for it. I think it's funny. We ask for abundance, and then when it comes, we go, huh? Whoa, I'm not ready for you yet. That's a common story for everybody. That's human nature.
Right.
So becoming aware and being more aware of who you are and what you are, more importantly, what you are, helps with that. And then when it comes, it's like, bring it on.
Well, and also I think it's interesting when you push out that, I want to help as many people as possible. And all of a sudden you're getting these negative emails. I've gotten so many hate mails in, and it has nothing to do with me. It's where they are and the scare and the fear that I've created to transform their lives. So yes, I'm changing their mindset, but to them, it's a negative way. They're not ready to kind of own that, and understand it. And so now it doesn't bother me. But when I first started, man, it's like, what do you mean you don't like what I'm saying? You like
Oprah would say you've come to success if you've got naysayers and hate mail.
Yeah, when you really hit it big, when you can get hate mail, and be okay with it.
I'm waiting, but not patient.
I'll send you some. No. Well, and that's, it's not about connecting to everybody. There's always going to be people that aren't ready. And there's always going to be people that resist. And you just got to be okay with it. It has nothing, and that was the hardest thing for me to understand. It had nothing to do with me. There's a guy that, he sent me the ugly, I still have it. If I ever wanted to use it for marketing, it's so ugly. That's how ugly it is. And at first, I started typing away back. Well, I can't believe you would say that, and blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly I stopped and I read what I was going to say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I deleted and I put thank you and sent it back. Right? The more you hit negative with negative, the more it flourishes. That's what a lot of people love. They just, they love that, causing the ripple effect and the negativity. And I refuse to play that game.
Yeah. I had a friend tell me a couple times in the last few months that they like to wallow. I'm like,
stay away from me.
You're on your own. If you wallow, you can wallow, but I'm not going to do it with you.
Exactly.
And it stopped.
Nice.
So we have the power to make the universe what we want it to be.
I tell people all the time, do you know you can actually make your own rules for your own business? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But you got to stand by them. Don't make a rule and not stand by it. I got 2 rules. You got to be nice and no perfect people. And I kick people out. And people are like, when they get the email from me, because it's not just, they said something or whatever, or it's not something I like, it's that negativity that they're bringing, and it's from multiple people. So it's not just one person saying it. I'm finding that it's kind of their persona. Most of the time people are in total denial. I am the most positive person I know. And most of the time, 90% of the time, they send me an email pretty quickly back going, thank you for letting me know. I had no idea I was being negative.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we help.
Exactly. And then those that are like, well, bye.
You're not ready. Come back when you are.
You broke the rule. Sorry.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, tell us, we're at the kind of end of our show here. How can people reach you, and put it over into the message area again so people can reach you?
I will. You can go to Facebook and look up Radiant One. You can find me there, or you can call me at 816-588-9400. I have a website I'm working on, and I'll get that information out as soon as possible.
Awesome.
And I'll type that in.
Perfect. And yeah, all right. And I've got a contest that I do every month. I always pull the person at the first of the month, but go ahead and apply, because you'll forget and then you'll win. And you're like, oh, yay. But you get a whole hour coaching session with me, which is $1,000 value. But there's little questions to ask, and one of them is for us to chat even sooner than that. So if you get a full coaching session, we'd love to, kind of dig into how I can help you, and where I see, especially if you're trying to become a speaker, you're like, I don't know how to make money at it or whatever. Love to help you with that. Also would love to have y'all get connected. Let me put that in here too, to the conference coming up. We've got the Amazing Show special running right now, or the early bird special. And I can't obviously type and talk at the same time. So we've got nominations open. So nominate yourself, especially if you're a speaker or, coach or someone that you need a really awesome bio. You want to show you've been nominated every year. Even if you don't win, those nominations are golden. So you can have now the 2016 that you're nominated for Collaborator of the Year. We have local, national, international. So you definitely want to jump in that. My panelists that pick the winners, they do not care if you nominate yourself. Just do it. Get over that, I don't want to nominate. Just do it. Or get your best friend to do it. Who cares? And we also have a video series contest going on, so you can submit just a short little unprofessional video. It's the words you choose. Best tip, best business tip, best personal story, whatever. So get that submitted also. And you can find it at publicspeakersconference.com. And then take advantage of the early bird. Myself and my fabulous friends that are all 7-figure speakers who are the most amazing people and givers. Ladies like, oh, it's going to be a help-a-thon. We're all going to be there helping each other, giving insights that actually work. We would love for y'all to be there. It's going to be in Palm Springs, California, June 26th through the 29th. So hopefully all of you get to be there, and we're going to have a blast. It's a full 2 full days, 2 half days of smiling and giggling and having a great time. Plus, oh, yay. So everybody jump in on the early bird. It's about to go away. And we also have everyone who comes walks out with a speaking opportunity in some way or fashion, unless you just don't want one. So it's the people you need to know. I bring in a lot of people who are booking for all kinds of opportunities, magazines, radio, you name it, it's there. So thank you, Jody, for being on today. I really appreciate it. I want you to come back often.
I will.
Yeah. Perfect. All righty, everybody. We will see you next time. Our incredible show tomorrow is Cheryl Jennings and Jim Pagampsis. You'll figure out how to spell his name and everything. And they're a hoot and a holler, and you don't want to miss it. So I will see y'all later. Thank you. Bye, everybody.